Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Beth, and if you're new, welcome. Today I am taking a little leftover strip from making a quilt. It was cut off to straighten the edge, and I have all these tiny pieces that I'm going to use to make a potholder for a gift. Along with my scraps, I'm using a 9-inch square piece of Insel Bright there on the top, 2 leftover pieces of batting that I just put right next to each other, and a backing fabric, really pretty fall piece of cotton fabric for the back of my potholder. So I did not baste my 2 pieces of batting together. I think they're going to stick together pretty well. This is such a small project. I could baste them together, or I could pin everything. I think I'll pin the 3 layers together right now before I get started. And I'm going to begin with the left side of this potholder using this tiny leftover piece of scraps from, like I said, a past project. After laying that first piece of scrap fabric down, I'm going to add a second piece, just trim it so it's a little bit longer than I need, and I have given myself a little bit bigger stitch length to go through all of these layers. This is the last piece of that leftover piece of scrap strip I had, and I'm going to add it right here and try to figure out what I will do next to fill in the last bit of this potholder. Since I am trying to get this finished quickly, I didn't spend a lot of time looking for fabric. This is the fabric I used for the back of my potholder, and it is very pretty, so I'm just going to cut a section off of that last piece and add it right here to finish up the front of my potholder. My Insel Bright is 9 inches, so I'm trying to follow along the size of that Insel Bright that inside this. It's probably not going to be perfectly aligned, but my pot holder will be 9 inches or thereabouts. I'm going to cut around the edges, and then I'm going to add some binding. Decided that I would add one more quilting line here through this pretty fabric. All the other scraps have been attached to my pot holder using a quilt as you go method, so you don't see the quilting lines, but they're in there. You can see them on the back of the pot holder. Here's my binding. It's left over from my binding drawer. It's 2.5 inches wide, and I folded that edge, and I'm leaving a little tail there and beginning sort of in the middle of the side, and I stopped 1/4 inch before the end, and then I pivoted and sewed off the corner. This is the way I typically will add binding. I'm adding this to the back. I fold up the binding and then fold right down where that stitch was, and I will begin sewing right on that fold, and I'll do the same thing on all 4 corners. So I needed to fold that beginning edge down again, and then I'll cut my binding so that it will kind of tuck right into that fold and hide all the raw edges. And I then will sew from that top all the way to where I started. I turned my pot holder right side up, and I rolled that binding to the front and pinned it down, and then I will top stitch all the way around. Here it is, a fun little pot holder gift using all the tiny leftovers from a past project. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.